City, and welcome to the October 21st, 2025 formal session. It's great to have you here today, whether you're joining us online or in person, and we hope you continue to participate in whichever manner you feel most comfortable. We'll move on to the item 2, which is always the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again for joining us tonight. And before we move through our agenda, I want to quickly go through the registration information and our rules and standards for public meetings. We welcome everyone, and the Council's goal is to make the meeting a place where people feel safe and comfortable participating in their government. We invite everyone to help make this a welcoming space. A respectful and safe environment allows us to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient way. Our most basic rule is that any action that causes a disruption to our ability to conduct this meeting or any safety concerns involving threats or unprotected speech are not allowed. These actions or comments may result in removal from the meeting. As a reminder of our public comment registration process, individuals may register to comment on scheduled public hearings up until the hearing is closed. For the general comments sections, we will accept sign-ups until 7:30 p.m. The general comments section is limited to a maximum of 1 hour and will only include commenters who register before 7:30. So if you're here to give general comments, please sign up and remember that it is possible not everyone who signs up may be able to speak. And this brings us to item A4, approving the formal meeting minutes of February 18th, 2025 and June 3rd, 2025. I look for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Young, a second from Councilmember Pui. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and I'm an aye. Victoria and?
Yes.
Okay, and is Ava online? Okay, that motion passes 6-0 with 1 absent. Our next item is A5, and the council will consider adopting a joint ceremony resolution with Mayor Mendenhall recognizing October as Italian American Heritage Month. I will now turn the time over to Councilmember Young, who will read the resolution.
So before I read the resolution, I just have to give our appreciation and love to Councilwoman Petro for letting me read this today. She is our most diehard advocate when it comes to the Italian American community. And I am so very grateful that she was willing to share this opportunity with me because although, yes, my last name is Young, my grandparents hailed from the Andresi family, and I'm just super excited to get to step in her shoes and be our advocates for today. So here we go. All right, a joint resolution declaring October 2025 Italian American Heritage Month in Salt Lake City. Whereas Salt Lake City is home to a vibrant assembly of diverse individuals from a multitude of backgrounds, including the proud and long-standing Italian Americans. And whereas Italian immigrants helped shape the economic and industrial development of Utah and Salt Lake City during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, contributing essential labor in the mining and railroad industries and helping to form a central hub for these immigrants as they established families, homes, and institutions. And whereas Italian Americans have made notable contributions to various fields, enriching the cultural tapestry of our city through their traditions and values and leaving a lasting legacy. And whereas Italian Americans form strong mutual aid and civic organizations, including the Italian American Civic League, established in Utah on January 18, 1934, which remains active today and continues to support community engagement and charitable efforts. And whereas in 1989, Congress officially designated the month of October as Italian American Heritage Month to celebrate the heritage and culture, whereas The construction of Interstate 15 in the mid-20th century led to the displacement of many Italian-American families and businesses, particularly those rooted in Salt Lake City's west side, disrupting a once thriving community. Whereas this historical displacement underscores the importance of acknowledging and preserving the local contributions, heritage, and resilience of Italian Americans in Salt Lake City, and whereas Italian Americans have preserved their unique cultural heritage through festivals, events, and organizations, fostering a sense of unity and pride within the Italian American community, strengthening community bonds, and fostering a more inclusive and connective city. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Salt Lake City Council and the Mayor of Salt Lake City hereby recognize the month of October as Italian American Heritage Month in our city, extend their appreciation, and encourage all residents to join in celebrating the contributions of the culture of Italian Americans.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Young. I'll look for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Pugliese, second from Councilmember Romano. All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 6-0. And thank you all for joining us here today. And I'd like to welcome Italian Honorary Consul Nick Fuco, and along with Italian American community members, Danny Rossi, Antonio Olive, Nick Price, and Katie Adams Anderton. Nick, the podium is yours.
Thank you. I've got to know many of you, so I really appreciate it.
Is that all?
Yeah, it should be on.
It's working?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. I've gotten to know many of you and really appreciate this motion. So good evening, members of the Salt Lake City Council, and also to Mayor Mendenhall and fellow citizens of Salt Lake City. It is a great honor to stand before you tonight as just the 4th honorary Italian consulate here in Salt Lake City to celebrate Italian American Heritage Month. A time to honor the deep cultural roots, the values, and the contributions of Italians and Italian Americans to our city, state, and our nation. First, I want to thank the City Council for recognizing October as Italian American Heritage Month. This gesture reflects Salt Lake City's enduring commitment to diversity, cultural exchange, and community spirit. The very values that define both Utah and Italy at their best. Italian heritage in Utah dates back more than a century. Our ancestors came here seeking opportunity and a better life, working in the mines of Carbon County, building railroads, opening family restaurants, and businesses that still thrive today. They brought with them not just their labor, but their heart, their music, art, food, craftsmanship, and above all, a devotion to family and community. These immigrants built a historic Little Italy on Salt Lake City's west side along 400 South, which unfortunately was displaced with the construction of I-15 in the late 1950s and 1960s. There you could find the original Caputo's grocery store, Western Macaroni Factory, which employed many Italians and other immigrants, and many other businesses and homes. From these early immigrants to today's new generation of Italian professionals, artists, and entrepreneurs, Italians have helped shape the character of this city quietly but profoundly. Today, we see that legacy alive and well through organizations like the Italian American Civic League, founded in 1934. Some of our members are here today who I'd like to welcome. As corresponded on January 18th, 1934, as laid out in the motion, upon the founding of the Italian American Civic League, Joe Marabelle said, "The League was born in the depth of depression to fill a necessity. The necessity was a feeling amongst many people of Italian descent that they were considered a minority. Immigration laws discriminated, and there was a need to plow a path towards integration. These values of volunteership and giving back to the greater community still guide us today. We live this ongoing goal through events like Festa Italiana Salt Lake City, which this year proudly celebrated its 10th anniversary, welcoming tens of thousands of people to Salt Lake City. And every September, we celebrate this holiday to celebrate Italian food, music, and joy. Today, we have Dana Rossi with us. She is the director of Festa Italiana SLC, and I would like to thank her and the community volunteers that allows us to put this on. These celebrations remind us that Italian heritage isn't just about history. It's about living our culture, community pride, and connection. It's about bringing people together around a table, a song, or a simple buongiorno. Italian culture teaches us to live con passione, with passion, to take beauty, friendship, and craftsmanship, to take pride in our tradition and innovation. These values mirror the spirit of Salt Lake City, creative, hardworking, welcoming, and proud of its own unique identity. So in closing, I would just like to celebrate, as we celebrate Italian American Heritage Month, may we remember the many ways our Italian community continues to enrich this city, and may we continue to build bridges between Utah and Italy through culture, education, business, and friendship. So on behalf of the Italian Consulate of Italy and our entire community, we thank you for this recognition, your partnership, and your belief in the power of cultural heritage to unite us all. Grazie mille, viva l'Italia, viva Salt Lake City.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Danny. You want to come up? Let's take a picture.
Yeah.
Down here, up here. Come on up here. Is Dr. Enriquez also here? Come on up here. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, it's a
This way? Yeah, go wherever we can. I think we'll have to, hold on. You should probably open this up, make it really official. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Alejandro.
Next time.
Remember, pesto was so good.
This brings us to the public hearing section of our agenda. These are specific proposals before the council that require a public hearing. Your comments should pertain to the hearing items, and if you go off topic, we will ask you to stop your comment. Our meeting rules are also applied to hearing comments as well. Please avoid disruptions or threats, or we ask your staff member to assist you out of the meeting. Also, as a reminder, comments that include profanity, personal attacks, intimidations, or discriminatory language are not persuasive or compelling to the council. They're not helpful in creating a respectful or safe environment. To sign up to the comments on any of the hearing items, please register online or turn in a comment card to the in-person staff. We're accepting signups until the hearing item is closed. We will be calling your name in the order of sign-up, and if you are on the Zoom, please unmute your mic when your name is called. Each person will have 2 minutes. If you reach the 2-minute mark, the host will announce time and your microphone will be muted. If you need staff assistance in the room or on Zoom, please raise your hand and someone will be with you. If you're having technical issues on Zoom, our staff member, Akshay Wopuluri, can assist you. If you're unable to finish your comments, please share the rest via email, mail, or call our office. Contact information is listed at slccouncil.com. If you have a handout of the council, please notify the council staff who will assist you. And we will move on to public hearing items. The first items B1 through B4 will be heard as one public hearing. And before we take any comments, I'll turn the time over to Sylvia Richards, Council Policy to give a short introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The city periodically applies for and receives grants which fund some city programs. Each grant will receive a public hearing, giving the council and the public an opportunity to learn about the grants. First is the Outdoor Recreation Initiative Grant, which would fund the design of the City Creek Daylighting Project, including the addition of a skate park and green spaces. It would also bolster the Folsom Trail, which connects a Trax front runner stop to the Jordan River Trail. Second is the Local Law Enforcement Program Grant, which would fund training, overtime, technology, and enhanced investigations assessing and improving responses to cyber crimes with a subaward to the YWCA. Third is the Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation Grant, which would fund the removal of hazardous debris and revitalize 9 miles of the Jordan River. And last is the Jordan River Corridor Improvement Grant Program, which is the next phase of removing decades worth of dead and obstructing trees and branches. Again, these are grants which were applied for by the city. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sylvia. Taylor, please start with our first commenter.
Mr. Chair, we have one person registered to speak to these items. That will be Jeff Olson, who is here in person.
It's nice to be with you all here today. There are a number of grant applications that are meritorious here. I'm going to speak in behalf of one. I am the chair, Jeff Olson. I'm the chair of the Fair Park Community Council. And in recent years, thousands of apartment buildings have been built within walking distance of the Folsom Trail. Hundreds, maybe thousands more are under construction or actively proposed. The people who live in these buildings have very little access to green space. The Madsen Park is wonderful, but it's very small. This would provide green space for the people in these buildings. It would, and beautiful green space. So we fully support the design of this. It's by unanimous vote of the Fair Park Community Council Board. So I encourage the City Council to support this application. Thank you.
And that was the final registered commenter for these items.
Thank you, Taylor.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing items B1 through B4 to a future consent agenda for action.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Puya, a second from Councilmember Mono. Any discussion on this item?
Mr. Chair, I just want to highlight that these grants are impactful to the Jordan River on the west side, and I'm thankful to the administration for bringing them to us.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, and that motion passes 6-0 with one absent. We'll move on to item B5, an ordinance modifying residential buffer prohibition text amendment. Wow, can't say anything. Before we begin our comments, I'll turn the time over to Brian Fulmer, Council Policy Analyst.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a proposal initiated by the Planning Commission to review land uses currently and proposed to be prohibited within 1,000 feet from residential districts.
Thank you, Brian. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do not have anyone registered to speak to this item.
Thank you. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Puya, second from Councilmember Young. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 I'm an aye. That motion passes 6-0 with Councilmember Lopez Chavez absent. Moving on to item B6, an ordinance of utility installation exemption text amendment. Before we take comments, I'll turn the time back over to Brian Fulmer to give a short intro.
This is a proposal from the administration to clarify utility installation exemptions found in city code by defining which utilities are included. It also standardizes language across land use tables.
Thank you, Brian. Taylor?
Mr. Chair, we have one person registered to speak to this item, and that will be Cindy Cromer. Cindy is here in person.
My name is Cindy Cromer, and I have participated in a number of utility projects in our historic parks. As this proposal made its way to you, some commissioners cited the Fourth Avenue well as an example of why public involvement increases the cost of a project. Democracy can increase the cost, unless, as was the case in the county's proposed stormwater diversion structure in Liberty Park, the project isn't necessary. In that case, the staff and the Landmarks Commission recommended and approved a project which wasn't necessary, a fact that came to light because there was a public process. And the public process also brought a swift end to the stormwater detention basin in Liberty Park when a citizen proposed an alternative. Utilities very frequently choose to locate facilities on land that the public has access to for recreation, even if the land is owned by the utility. City Creek Park and Reservoir Park are examples of land owned by a utility but managed as park space. So who will deal with the complaints when a beloved park space is altered unexpectedly by a utility? Of course, city employees will. And the cost associated with those complaints are not estimated or even considered. So back to the Fourth Avenue well. There was never any formal evaluation of how that project could have proceeded differently, at least not that I know of as a directly affected neighbor. I actually did one on my own, and one of my conclusions is that the city should have design guidelines for utility structures, just as it does for residential, multifamily, and commercial buildings in historic districts. A utility, whether a city enterprise or not, should not be guessing about the expectations, and everyone involved should consider that citizens might have a solution, that the alternative generated by the citizen might be cheaper.
Thank you.
That was the final register comment for this item.
Thank you. I will look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move that the council continue the public hearing to a future council meeting.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Puy, a second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item?
Yeah, I have a question for staff. I appreciated the way that that's our last commenter brought this up, and I wonder if it is possible to, I mean, we hadn't considered this in our discussions, but I'm wondering if it's possible to say that these exemptions do not apply if it's for a utility structure that's in a park. So I'd like to get clarity on that before we vote on it.
Yeah, so we can bring that up with planning staff and see if that's language we can put together and bring back to you to put in the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there was also talk about design standards too, and I don't think we got an answer on that before we voted. So I'd like to have those two things before we vote.
Okay, perfect. We'll make sure they come together.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I was, Councilmember Wharton, I appreciate you bringing that up. I needed to close the loop on some of these questions too, so I'm looking to those answers.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm an aye. That motion passes 6. Sounds like, is Councilman Petro still online?
Yes, it was
Okay.
an aye.
All right, that motion passes 6-0 with Councilmember Lopez Chavez absent. Moving on to item B7, an ordinance of Patriot Rail street vacation at approximately 6500 West Interstate 80 eastbound freeway. Before we take any comments, I'll turn the time back over to Brian Fulmer.
Public right-of-way crossing the applicant's property adjacent to the south side of Interstate 80 and southwest of the International Center. The subject parcels are remnants of public rights-of-way that were platted but never developed. It is the applicant's intent to incorporate the parcels into their property.
Thank you, Brian. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do not have anyone registered to speak to this item.
I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would like to propose that we move to close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance.
I have a motion from Councilmember Puy, a second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item?
Mr. Chair, this is a long time coming to get to ensure that Patriot Rail gets all they need to be able to move this yard from Poplar Grove all the way to the west side of the district, which we all know is going to be a big deal. So I'm looking forward to this, another step in the right direction.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That motion passes 6-0. Councilmember Lopez Chavez absent. We'll move on to item B8, an ordinance of budget amendment number 2 for fiscal year 2025 to 26. And before we take comments, I'll turn the time over to Michael Sanders, Council Policy Analyst.
Thank you, Council. Budget Amendment number 2 includes 34 proposed amendments, including $71,326,282 in revenues and $137 $1,038,667 in expenditures, including $940,000 from the general fund. The council has received briefings on this item during the October 7th and October 21st work sessions.
Thank you, Michael. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do not have anyone registered to speak to this item.
I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and adopt items A2, National League of Cities Summit Costs, A6, Modification of Appointed Position in Police Department, and A11, Assistance for Airport Federal Partners due to government shutdown, as proposed by the administration, and defer action on the remaining items to a further council meeting.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilor Wharton, a second from Councilor Young. Any discussion on this item?
Mr. Chair, I would like to highlight that our city is stepping up and supporting our personnel that are working without pay right now, and by providing them with assistance for food and travel expenses as we are allowed to do that. These employees that are keeping us all safe in Salt Lake and our airport, and that unfortunately are not getting paid for the work that they need to do to keep things functioning. And it's a tragedy. And I'm thankful that the administration and the city and the airport leadership are bringing this to us for a temporary solution.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes 6-0. Moving on to item B9, the 2026-2027 U.S. Housing and Urban Development General Community Development Needs Annual Public Hearing. Before we take any comments, we'll turn the time over to Allison Rowland, Council Policy Analyst.
Councilmember Dugan, I'll be covering the ones for Allison tonight. So this public hearing is about the 2026-2027 U.S. Housing and Urban Development General Community Development Needs Annual Public Hearing. This is to accept public comments for the 2026-27 U.S. Housing or HUD General Community Development Needs. Each year, Salt Lake City receives millions of dollars in grants from HUD for various projects. This feedback helps the council, the city prioritize the grant funds among many competing needs.
Thank you, Nick. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do not have anyone registered to speak to this item.
I'll look for a motion.
Move to close the public hearing. Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Puyi, second from Councilman Wharton. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes 6-0 unanimously. Number B10, public hearing, 203 West Paxton Avenue Affordable Housing Development Required Public Hearing. Before we take comments, I'll pass it over to Nick to give a short intro.
Thank you. This is what's known as the TEFRA public hearing for a 272-unit affordable housing project at approximately 203 West Paxton Avenue. The developer is the nonprofit Patriot Service Group based in Florida. The station development would provide 182 studio units and 91 bedroom units. This project would be funded under a special provision of the IRS code and entails no financial liability for Salt Lake City. To satisfy federal requirements, the council must hold the public hearing, but no other council action is required.
Thank you, Nick. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do not have anyone registered to speak to this item.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
A motion from Councilman Puyi, a second from Councilman Young. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 I'm an aye. That motion passes 6-0 unanimously. Moving on to item C, which is the potential action items, and this is C1, a resolution substantial amendment to the home ARPA allocation plan. I will look for a motion.
Move to the council adopt a resolution, a substantial amendment to the home ARP allocation plan to relocate a portion of one-time HUD home ARP funding.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Puyi, a second from Councilman Wharton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm an aye. That motion passes 6-0 unanimously. Moving on to item C2, an ordinance partial street vacation at approximately 1101 West, 400 South.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the ordinance vacating 1100 West street segment and deny the vacating of 400 South segment adjacent to the applicant's property.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Mono, a second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item?
Yes. So this one is so challenging because there didn't really seem to be a mechanism by which we could create a solution around the 400 South side of the street segment. I know in speaking with the applicant that there is significant interest to be able to continue to work with the city around future needs, to be able to address, potential interest in extending the trail. And it just seemed like every way we turned, there wasn't really a mechanism to be able to enable that. Now, I know that we have future policy conversations coming that should open up some additional efforts, but I did just want to acknowledge the applicant for, really trying to work within all of the opportunities that we had, not necessarily finding a perfect solution, but noting that we hope to continue the conversation to reach that space in the future.
Chair, I'd like a minute.
Go ahead, Victoria. Councilmember Petro.
This is really one that I wish we would model on what we discussed in terms of making it an exception, not a precedent, because there is no quick way to fix this. And I don't think it's fair to make him wait longer for the resolution that should come in the R1 zoning consolidations. This is one of those things where we are inadvertently getting in the way of something that needs to be done, and our attempt at protecting us through land use policy is actually impeding something that we don't need to impede. So I won't be voting in accordance with this motion. I think it's not the best use of our political, social, or land use capital. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
We had some discussion on this during the work session. I realize not all council members were able to attend that. I do think there are some options to move forward with different tools. I know that none of them are quick and none of them are simple, but I think I'm still supportive of this motion given all of the circumstances. So I'm also, if council members feel like they're not ready to vote yet, I think that we have the option of deferring action, right?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I would like to say that, one of the things that resonated with me as this applicant, has been working, trying to, untangle the zoning book that we also recognize there are a lot of holes in it. But this is not to me burning our capital or, using the code to stop progress. I don't see it like this. I see it as, we are meeting part of this request, and understanding that the other part of the request, we see issues with the code that the administration is working on, and that we need to address across the board. And I actually think that this applicant has helped our city and ourselves, personally I will speak for myself, that it help illustrate how some of these problems are very glaring and they need to be solved across the board. I prefer that we, and I know that this is frustrating for the applicant because they've been working so hard on save this structure and put the investment in the west side and their property. But the process that we have laid out has tools. None of these tools are fast. I understand that, but it's a process that is flat and appropriate for everyone in the city. What we are doing here is meeting some of these issues that they are bringing about and solving that, and acknowledging that we want to find a solution that is long-lasting, but also understanding that our public utilities and pretty much every department within the city is saying, don't do this one piece, because of the precedent of the implications that it's going to affect us. So I'm trying to balance this between the city and the neighbor, that I value their patience and what they want to do with this property. So this is why I committed myself earlier today to, in the conversations here to help in trying to figure out the other options that they may be available per in the work session earlier today. So this is where I stand, and I support the motion as stated.
Any further discussion? All right, appreciate that. All in favor say aye.
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 I'm an aye. Opposed?
Nay.
And Councilmember Petro?
Nay.
That motion passes 4-2 with 1 absent. Moving on to item D, comments. This is the time when we ask questions of the mayor. Thank you, Jill, for sitting with us. As usual, I love having the mayor's staff here. Any questions for Jill? All right. Thanks, Jill. We're moving on to items, comments to the city council. This is a 1-hour time slot for the public to comment on city business and not scheduled for the public hearing. Each person will have 2 minutes to talk. General comments registration closed at 7:30, or closes at 7. Close at 7:30. We're now at the general comment portion of our agenda. The same remarks and comments that I made earlier about decorum still apply here tonight. I won't rehash those. And we will now move on to the public comment period. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 5 people registered for general comment. The first will be Cindy Cromer, followed by Annie Isaacson, and then Eric Sansom. Cindy is here in person.
Hi, my name is Cindy Cromer, and I'm speaking as the owner of 5 properties in the RMF 35 zone and a survivor of the zoning rewrite process 30 years ago. Judy and I are survivors. Everyone else is either speculating about the intent of the RMF 35 restrictions, adopting hearsay about how it was anti-density, or has professional skills to interpret the voluminous record and the context in which the zone change was adopted in 1995. And no one is talking about the ways that the 1995 rewrite was actually favorable to housing. What I want to describe tonight is an amazing conversation I had with a former city planner many years after the adoption of the zoning rewrite. I was trying to discuss nonconforming density. The planner repeatedly interrupted me, insisting that the RMF zones were not anti-density. The former planner insisted that the Corradini administration would not agree to any form of design review. So the planners did an end run around Didi and Roger Black. Keep lot widths big and setbacks wide. The result was like a conservation district, not historic preservation, but things often did remain the same because of the pervasive non-conforming density in areas zoned RMF 30 and 35. As a small-scale investor, I once asked a planner about a rezone for one of my RMF 35 properties. It had 5 non-conforming units. I could only build 2 in the existing RMF 35. With a rezone to RMF 45, I could still only build 2. So what did I do? I invested money in new wiring, new plumbing, insulation, flooring, and roofing. In other words, I made the rental units much nicer and safer precisely because I could not rebuild them. What an amazing end run around Corradini and Roger Black. It has lasted 30 years, and I never understood the intent when I lived through it until that conversation with the former planner. Thank you.
Next will be Annie Isaacson, followed by Eric Sansom, and then Josh Schuerman. Annie is here in person.
Hi, I wasn't here on October 7th. 2 members of the Sampson Altadena board gave comments. So I wanted to come back to thank you guys. For almost 3 years, I've been fighting for our building through planning, through other means. And it wasn't till last year when I reached out to every single city council member and asked them to meet with me to talk about the new code, because I wanted them to protect the national landmarks, not just the local. And 6 out of you met with me, some in person, some online. You were all very gracious and supportive. We really didn't think we would be able to get the local landmark status. There were additional requirements put on us. We felt like we were hitting the wall. I want to thank you guys all for helping us and being kind and taking extra time, because I know you have a lot on your plate and a lot pulls you in all directions. Sarah and Victoria both encourage us to talk to other city council members. Eva, of course, is our city council member and has been there for us and connecting us with people. We had a lag of a couple weeks in planning due to a clerical error, and Chris Wharton and Brian and Nick made sure we made that up so that the vote could happen on October 7th instead of waiting till tonight, because time has been of the essence. Dan met us in person and spent time with the models when we were talking about code, and he encouraged us to talk to Darren. And for being a retired architect, meeting with Darren was awesome.
Fine.
And I want to
Next will be Eric Sansom, followed by Josh Schuerman, and then Jason Seaton. Eric is here in person.
Hello, Council. I'm the petitioner for 1101 West. To be quite frank, tonight went exactly how I thought it would go, unfortunately for myself. It's been 3 years of work and effort to try and build what I assumed would be an easy project, to build a small 1,100 square foot house in Salt Lake. Unfortunately, the laws and rules in the city are preventing development and reworking of the west side, which unfortunately is some of the most disenfranchised people here in Salt Lake City. So it's disappointing to me to hear that there was no resolution. I tried to meet with all of you. Most of you denied my request to have a meet. And so it's frustrating to see that me offering myself up to you to make contracts or development agreements. I went through a year process of a variance request, which none of you ever even saw because of the way that it works. I was denied. And so it's been frustrating. I do appreciate Victoria, Eva, and Sarah for meeting with me, and honestly, they're dissenting votes. So that was, I guess, uplifting to me to know that they were in support of this, honestly, a small project. I know that you've talked about that there are other avenues, which in the work session you talked about doing new petitions, which, to be quite frank, waiting a whole nother year to go through a petition process is unacceptable, especially when I've already been through 3 years of your guys' several different processes. So I'm expected this outcome, but it's still extremely disappointing, and I hope that as the rework of the R1 5000 continues, to meet your guys' tables, that some sort of resolution can come that helps people develop legal non-conforming lots in Salt Lake City, because on your own study, over 64,000 lots are legal non-conforming.
And next will be Josh Schuerman, followed by Jason Seaton. Josh is here in person.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Josh Sherman. I'm a resident of Mill Creek, technically. I live on Lake Street, just 2 houses from the Salt Lake City border. Our neighborhood, located 1 block from Nibley Elementary and Nibley Golf Course, has been significantly affected over the past year by a rental property operating an active tow truck business out of a rental home. Despite multiple reports to the Salt Lake City Ordinance, the issue persists to this day. At one point, there were as many as 4 tow trucks at the property, some inoperable while the owners perform mechanical work and transport vehicles to and from the site. Throughout this time, our community has contacted Salt Lake City Compliance, Zoning and Planning Commission, Code Enforcement, Health Department, Unified Police Department, Parking Enforcement, and City Council members. We have been told the case is active and being investigated. I'm speaking on behalf of the neighbors and friends on Lake Street and request an update from code enforcement to prevent this tow truck company from continuing to operate in our neighborhood and in other residential areas if the code is updated and strengthened. According to City Code, the tow truck businesses are required to maintain a properly zoned tow yard registered to the business, and all vehicles should be stored there. Currently, there are still 2 tow trucks parked on our street daily. They are often started and warmed in the mornings, operating at all hours between 2, 3, and 4 a.m. 7 days a week. We have video of these occurrences. By speaking to you today, City Council, I hope to encourage timely enforcement of existing codes and hopefully updates to strengthen them for residential neighborhoods. Our goal as residents is simply to restore the quiet and residential character of our neighborhood. Thank you for your time on this matter. I would like to leave all the corresponding documentation with the clerk at this time.
Appreciate that very much.
And next will be Jason Seaton, who's here in person.
Good evening, City Council. I'm here to talk about the 4 South project that we've been working on this house. There is a tool for managing situations like ours, and that is the variance process. The city is set up against variances, even though it is part of the law to have variances. We went through that process. The only thing that we're asking to do is to build the front of our building in line with the existing buildings as it stands today. The rules state we have to push the house back. The variance that we wanted to do was just to say, we just want to be allowed to build where it exists now on 4 South. We don't need the land in front of that. We don't want that. All we want to do is be able to, that was the only solution that we had to finding a way to build with the front door, even with the neighbor's front door and the neighbor's front door. That's why we went through the whole process. We spent thousands of dollars and 3 years, almost 3 years now, to do this process. And that's all we wanted to do, was make sure that we were in line with the other houses on our block. That was the point. And this has been the most frustrating thing to do this. It's a very simple thing to do. And if the city continues to operate just tripping over itself to get things done, unless you're a billionaire, we'll never advance, especially in our neighborhood. We'll never move forward. We'll never fix things. It's such an inhibiting thing to do for someone to try and fix up their house. The city is just holding people down. Thank you for your time.
That was the final registered commenter.
Thank you, Taylor. And I also just want to say thank you to everyone who made a comment tonight. I appreciate that very much. We'll move on to item E, new business. And item E1, an ordinance and economic development loan fund for the Riches Grub Houses LLC. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the ordinance approving $40,000 loan for Rich Grub Houses LLC, doing business as Rich Burgers and Grub, from the Economic Development Loan Fund.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Puya, second from Councilman Wharton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm an aye. That passes 6-0 unanimously. Item F, unfinished business. A resolution of Salt Lake County Hazardous Mitigation Plan. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move the council approve the resolution adopting the 2025 Salt Lake County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Wharton, a second from Councilman Mono. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 6-0. And item F2, resolution of Salt Lake Central Housing and Transit and Reinvestment Zone Interlocal Agreement. I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt a resolution to approve the Salt Lake Central HTRZ interlocal agreement between Salt Lake City and Salt Lake City Community Reinvestment Agency.
Second.
I have a motion for Councilman Wharton, a second from Councilman Puy. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm an aye. That passes 6-0. Moving on to item. On to our consent agenda. I look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of the consent
Second.
I
agenda.
I have a motion from Councilmember Romano, a second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ooh,
When you're done, sorry, we need to tell you one thing real quick.
Okay.
Before you close the meeting.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion passes 6-0.
We've been told the ordinance for the Patriot Rail is the wrong ordinance. We're just looking into it real quickly. But if you give us just a few minutes to confirm, somebody's here telling us we have the wrong ordinance and we wouldn't want to delay that much.
Okay.
Is the wrong ordinance in the package?
In the packet, that's what we've been told. Brian and Thais are looking at it right now.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Okay. I guess I still don't understand the ordinance.
Brian, I'm sorry. Somebody came up and told us that we had the wrong ordinance in there. I don't know yet what it is or what is wrong with it.
Okay.
On this item, that the ordinance in the packet is the wrong one. So we're looking to make sure that to confirm that. And so just, if you can give us just a few minutes.
So is it like the address is wrong? Is that what?
Not the address, just some a condition in the ordinance.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, we'll hold on. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Saunter.
ordinance on the Patriot Rail street vacation at approximately 6500 West Interstate 80 eastbound freeway. There will not be a recall of the motion, but just a clarification that the ordinance I have in my hand, which is a hard copy ordinance, is the one that we are adopting, not the ordinance in the package that was submitted online.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, as the maker of the motion, I agree. That's the ordinance that I move to pass.
Can I, do you want me to make that second? We don't need to make a motion or anything,
Yeah,
right?
you don't need to vote. This is just, you're making a clarifying statement now. I think you've done that.
So just a clarifying statement is enough. The motion still passes 6-0 unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for that attention. We will move on to item number.
Adjourn.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Yeah.